The most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest one. It's the one who doesn't care if you like them. Two men, one job, and a room full of people watching their every move. Dick is drowning in an invisible noise so loud he can barely remember his own name. Harry is so quiet he commands absolute authority. They both lost everything, but only one of them is actually starting fresh. If you've ever walked into a room and felt like everyone was judging your every breath. If you've ever laughed too hard at a boss's joke just to fit in, or if your voice shakes the moment all eyes are on you, you are living in the noise. But there is a different way. A way to walk into any room, ignore the mind-reading trap, and speak with a boldness that makes people stop breathing just to hear you. This is the story of Dick and Harry, and the psychological shift that separates a prisoner of perception from a master of reality. My name is Tom. I'm 72 years old, and for most of my life I was Dick, until I finally learned how to become Harry. Dick is starting over. He's got a seat at the table, a friendly manager, and cool colleagues. On paper, he's doing great. But inside, it's a war zone. The manager cracks a corny joke to lighten the mood. Everyone gives a polite smile. But Dick? He explodes. He laughs so hard the room goes quiet. Even the manager looks confused. Dick's brain goes into overdrive. I hope he's impressed, he thinks. But then the panic sets in. He starts scanning the room like a radar. Luke isn't looking at me. He definitely hates me. Marie isn't smiling. I've already messed this up. The noise in his head is a deafening static of, what do they think of me? When it's time to speak, Dick is a wreck. He stands up, shoulders slumped, energy drained, sweat beads on his forehead. His voice? It's as shaky as an old truck on a gravel road. He's not even focusing on his own words. He's mind-reading. Marie's eyes look cold. Richard smiled. Okay, I'm safe. Oh, thank God, the manager just nodded. He leaves the meeting and immediately hunts down Jane, desperate for a hit of validation. She smiles, he breathes, but the relief is temporary. The noise is always there. Baton Rouge. Now, look at Harry. Same situation, different city. The manager drops the same corny joke. The room erupts. Harry? He just sits there. No forced laughter, no performance, just a faint, genuine smile. He isn't reading minds. He's reading the room's objective. When Harry speaks, he doesn't ask for permission. I have an important contribution, he says. There is no static in his head. No, does Marie like my tie? Or does Luke think I'm smart? He just says what needs to be said. He isn't stiff, but he's bold. He commands a silence so absolute you could hear a pin drop. When he finishes, he doesn't look around for a nod of approval. He just sits down. And the room gives him a standing ovation. Dick is busy living in everyone else's head, while Harry is busy living his life. One is a prisoner of perception. The other is a master of his own reality. The question is, which one are you? The noise in Dick's head is the hallmark of social anxiety. What Dick doesn't realize is that he isn't actually reading Marie or Jane. He is projecting his own fears onto them. This is the great illusion of anxiety. We think we are looking through a window at what others feel, but we are actually looking into a mirror of our own insecurities. Dick suffers from the spotlight effect, a psychological phenomenon where we overestimate how much others notice our appearance or mistakes. Dick thinks his shaky voice is a catastrophe, but in reality, his colleagues are likely thinking about their lunch. their mounting emails, or their own performance. The moral is simple. You are the lead character in your own life, but you are just an extra in everyone else's. Once you realize that people aren't watching you that closely, the spotlight turns off, and you can finally breathe. Dick's constant internal monologue, "Marie isn't buying this, Jane doesn't like me," is a cognitive distortion known as mind reading. By trying to predict everyone's thoughts, Dick creates a feedback loop of stress. This stress drains his stamina, making his fears a self-fulfilling prophecy. Harry's edge comes from outcome independence. He accepts that he cannot control what is happening inside someone else's head. By giving up the need to control their opinions, he regains control of his own voice. When Dick hunts down Jane after the meeting just to see her smile, he is seeking a hit of validation to quiet the noise. In the world of social anxiety, this is called safety behavior. It provides temporary relief, but it actually reinforces the anxiety because it teaches your brain that you need a smile from Jane to be okay. Harry doesn't seek Jane out. He doesn't need her grin to justify his existence. He understands that your worth is not a poll results. The noise in Dick's head isn't an observation, it's a distraction. Social anxiety makes you self-conscious, but Harry is self-aware. To be self-conscious is to be trapped in the self. To be self-aware is to know your value and focus outward on the task. If you want the applause that Harry got, you have to stop listening for it. You have to be willing to speak into the silence, stand in your own truth, and let the noise of the world fade into the background. True freedom is not being liked by everyone. It is the boldness to be okay even when you aren't. Dick is busy living in everyone else's head, while Harry is busy living his life. One is a prisoner, the other is a master. The question is, which one are you going to be tomorrow? Share this video with one person who needs to hear this message, and let's start a conversation about finding our silence together.